Huge thank you to Reality Capture for sponsoring this video. Now, I am a sucker for a huge 3D set piece. Sure, when they're done poorly, your eyes glaze over, it's kinda lame, it pulls you out of the story. But when they're done well, what an incredible experience. It's like that one ride at California Dream and Scream. These scenes always leave me really inspired to make my own type of huge set piece. If you're modeling it from the ground up in CG, you gotta either make or find all those assets, place them, make it feel natural, pain in the butt. If you're scanning a huge environment, you gotta get a drone, or you gotta walk around for a day scanning, huge pain in the butt. But hold on a minute. There is no such thing as absolute scale in the world of 3D. So what if we take high quality scans of small environments and then blow them up to be huge scale so we can let this weasel do his thing? So I found some nature in a spot called Ferndale Trail in Griffith Park. First I walked around and tried to find some spots without any direct harsh sunlight. The reason for that is if we scan that area and then try to relight it in CG, you're still going to have all of the shadows and light left over from the sun when you took the photos. But if you find a shady or ambiently lit area, then you can relight the model with little to no texture work that needs to be done. Alright, so now we gotta take our pictures. Reality Capture figures out the shape of your object by comparing the different perspectives of the photos that you take. To help it in this process, you want to get a large amount of photos from as many angles around the subject as you can. Something to keep in mind is that Reality Capture is actually doing a 3D camera track to figure out where your camera was when you took all the photos of your subject. So this means that it's most helpful for the software if you take the camera on a smooth ride around your subject, having a good amount of overlap in each photo. The quality of these photos will determine the quality of your model, so you want everything to be as tack sharp as possible. So that means either a high shutter speed while you walk around, or stand still to take your photos. Also, it's important to wear shoes that you don't care about when doing something like this, because you never know when... Now that we have all of our photos, we want to run through them and weed out any of the bad. Now for the hardest part of the process is actually using Reality Capture. Now if you don't want to stick around for this tutorial, just skip ahead 10 seconds because all you need to do is bring in the images and hit go. And that's pretty much, that's literally all you need to do. Once that's done, you can export and bring into your 3D package of choice. Alright, weasel time. Okay, here's the process for getting a medium quality animal model. First, you buy a $5 video game model of the animal you want. In Blender, I had 3 sets of fur. One is the large-scale fur that covers the entire body except for the hands and the face. For those areas, I use the second fur system, which is made up of smaller-scale, denser hairs. You can also add on a third system of just a few stragglers to add some variety. Give her a little groom, sample the textures for the hair color, and you got yourself a weasel. Now, I've been curious for a while if I could find a way to reproject human motion capture onto an animal. Usually it's janky because the proportions don't match, but I thought of a possible solution. Most quadruped legs bend the opposite way that human legs do. So instead of directly driving the rotation from my legs, I decided to set up an inverse kinematics system. So basically the weasel's foot takes the position of my foot, and then the leg figures out its rotation based on that. Pretty cool. Alright, let's bring it all into a scene. So if you're scanning an area with a lot of plants, odds are you're going to have a hard time, because plants generally sway in the wind, and photogrammetry requires that your subject be perfectly still to get a good result. This means that plants usually come out pretty chunky and unreliable. But no sweat, we have megascans. Just find a plant that looks vaguely like the plant that's in your scan, throw it on top, and don't think about it any further. Sometimes there are areas in the scan that you need to be higher fidelity than the rest of the scan, like the ground near the camera. You can either reprocess that specific part within Reality Capture to be higher quality, or you can just grab a lot of the ground and scale it down so it looks like it has more detail than it actually does. Now that we have the scene looking good, it's time to add some sauce. The first layer of sauce is the HDR, the High Dynamic Range image, most likely from polyhaven.com/HDRIs. This spherical image will light the scene with photos gathered from a variety of lighting conditions. Here you can see I have mossy forest lighting this scene. A nice trick to see if the composition of your image is working is make your computer screen black and white. Viewing just the luminance or the brightness of your image is usually a much more reliable way of finding out what is or isn't standing out in your image. If you want to make it look like there are a bunch of trees in front of the sun that's lighting your scene, you can use a thing called a Gobo instead of rendering all those trees. A Gobo is a cutout that you put in front of your light to make it look like there's an object in front of it that isn't actually there. I found a great plugin on the Blender market that has a bunch of leaves and things like that. The last piece of sauce that I like to add is making it feel like there's a person holding the camera of the render. A lot of the time, what gives away CGI is that the camera is acting outside of the rules of physics and is doing something that you wouldn't be able to do with a normal camera. So making it look like your shot is being taken from a helicopter or by a person holding a camera goes a long way in selling the effect. If you want to try reality capture out for yourself, you can use the discount code PETER50 to get 50% off 3,500 PPI credits. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions. And again, huge thank you to Capturing Reality for sponsoring this video. I honestly use this software all the time. I highly recommend it. And I hope you have a good time using it because it's a lot of fun. All right, I'll see you around. Have a good day.